Well, you said you had a new business or a new venture. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, cool. So Strong Woman Project, branded. Uh,
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, how it came about, it's the same thing but better. So nutrition coaching, what I did is I was running my own coaching. It was all going really well. I was working with women one-on-one, getting some awesome results and stuff. But as you can probably relate to, working by yourself is really boring. Um, and it's nice to have someone to bounce ideas off. And I sort of like, from a business perspective, sounds really bad, but I like clocked it. I was like, cool, making lots of money, like living my life that I like, helping people, awesome. And I was just a bit like, cool, what now? Like, what's the next thing?
Mm.
And, as someone who loves to continually be growing and not be stuck, as we sort of talked about, I looked like, where to from here? How can I grow this impact? Not necessarily about me, but help more people. And, as one person, you can only help X many people. So there was another coach that, interestingly, we were sort of competitors. We have a very similar message. We would look at each other in groups and things and see, like she'd get that client, I'd get this client, whatever. And at first it was like I'm going to do better than you in business, that whole fun thing, but a healthy competition. And then we sort of said, look, what would this look like to work together? Like, would we like it? Would we kill each other? Do we have conflicting? I don't know. So we tested this out and we sort of did a group program where we ran it together. We had a group of women and we sort of helped them with nutrition and health and wellness and all of those great things, and looked at like where were each of our sort of strengths and weaknesses. And turns out we have very complementary skill sets. So she is great at not admin, but like tech stuff. I am not. Hence why the microphone didn't work when we first turned on. I'm like,
No, I think that was my fault. Like,
I'm great at connection. I'm great at relationships. Like anything people give it to me, I will talk all day. I'm, 1,000% extrovert. I get my energy from people, where she's probably the opposite. So naturally it worked really well. So we basically, Strong Woman Project is a nutrition coaching company. We help women kind of love their body, their life without restriction in terms of some of the crazy stuff that's out there in the diet industry. So we very much push back against like that diet culture. We're anti-diet, if we kind of say that. And we've brought on, like through our networks, we've brought on 3 coaches around the world who we've kind of hand selected to build up the brand and them as coaches. So now we essentially coach coaches, just those 3. And they help the clients, which is so rewarding because we can have a bigger impact. But we don't want to become like a big machine. That was something that we talked about. Like we still want to keep it like small. So we'll only ever have these 3 coaches. They can choose how many clients they work with, sort of between 10 to 30. So not like huge numbers. That's totally up to them. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started, and here we are, and now we've been, going for like maybe like 6 months now, and it's so awesome, but it's not all easy. When you work with people, you're going to have struggles because we typically work with a lot of the women who have come from a restrictive dieting background. They have crazy relationships with themselves, their body, food, and that huge emotional connection to food. Often like their mental health isn't super great because of that. And so we blur the line between coaching and therapy, and obviously we have to like be careful that we don't go outside of our scope, but there is a lot that comes into like that trauma kind of place, like what do you think the way you think and all of that. So yeah, that's like a really long summary.
no, that's amazing how you've come together as who were competitors, quote unquote, within the same niche within the industry, and come together and be like, hey, listen, we both like helping people. If we come together, we can help more people. Why don't we do this? I think that's really cool, man. Like the fitness industry is notorious for for bumping heads, so to speak. You know, we step on each other's toes all the time, and we look around and think and look at people as competitors rather than like colleagues. We're all trying to do the same thing, and you know, there's a lot of people on the planet, and there's a lot of unhealthy people on the planet. If we all have, say for example, you know, we can only do 50 clients, right, or 50 athletes, and we're all maxed out. If you take everybody in the fitness industry and times that by 50, there's nowhere near the amount of people that need help.
Yeah.
You know, so why are we looking at people as competitors rather than, you know, we can all work together on this one.
Yeah, it was definitely a shift, and it's funny, you know, like you go from, I don't know, working for yourself where you can kind of do whatever you want whenever you want. And working with people, I'm like, oh, I've got staff. No, but honestly, the girls that we have are so great, and we kind of have, each of them has a slightly different like specialty that they kind of work with in terms of clients. So it works really well, and they're sort of different ages and different locations as well. So yeah, super cool. It's definitely a work in progress though.
What's that shift been like? You know, usually it's pretty hard going from like a team environment to working by yourself, right? Working for yourself. Everything is like, it's on you. But not a lot of people know what it's like going back, right? So what's that like? What's that shift been like?
Honestly, it's so fun. Like, our team is awesome. Like, so we just had our team meeting this morning, actually. So once a week, we all get together and pretty much just yarn. We do work as well, but, you know. Yeah, it's honestly just so fun because these people that we're sort of picked, like, we all have such similar values. And I think that's the key. Like, we sort out these girls because of who they are, not necessarily how much they know and whatever, but who they are. And we can see that there's so much potential in them. And yeah, but I mean, that said, you know, you come back to like, you have to have a bit more structure with things and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's been good. It's nice to, like I said, have someone to bounce ideas off, because I have 5 million ideas every single day, right? As you probably do too. And I'm like, okay, hold on. What are we doing? Tell me, should I be doing this or should we stop with this? And so it's nice to have someone to either go, yeah, that's good, go with it, or like, stop, you're doing 5 million things. Like, just do this one thing. So that works quite well.
I honestly think those people in your life are like vital for people like you and I who are just, let's be honest, absolutely nuts. It's like, no idea is a bad idea. Let's do it. Like, you just kind of like try and run on your hands as far as you can. Bloody CrossFitters. Yeah. But it's, like having those people around you who know you in and out, share the same values, but also going to be like, hey, listen, like we need to hone this in, you know, for the next couple of months. This is our focus point. This is our action points. This is what we're going to be doing. This is your seat at the table. This is my seat at the table. And then once all that's ticked off, then you can move forward, right?
And that's hard because we've got like goals as a business to, you know, look into other areas, but we want to do that now. But we're like, hold on, we have to do these things first. Like, our main priority is getting the girls, you know, as much income as they want to earn, and they kind of get to choose that. They're like, you know, one of them's still studying, one of them's going to the games this year as an individual. She randomly.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So, nice.
Not randomly,
as you do.
Very, very hard. And so, them just picking and choosing how much they want to work. So that's our number one priority, and making sure they have everything they need to be able to support their clients. Then with the extra capacity we have, it's like, okay, cool, what else do we want to do so that we can increase this impact? But I think coaching the girls it's really fun, but it is hard because it's essentially like you're coaching more people, because, you know, for each one of them, they have, I don't know, 20 people. But then you almost end up coaching that many more clients. Same stuff that comes up, and you're like, oh, but this client says this, and you're like, oh, yep, here we go. And so they don't probably have as much experience that Alan and I have had with coaching. So, just helping them with all of that and the natural things that we've already done and passing that knowledge on, which is really fun. You know, like, I love to help people, and that is helping in a different way.
Yeah, it's a completely different minefield to navigate, right? When you start coaching coaches, because like the time that you give on the dance floor or face to face is less, but the impact is more.
Yes.
So then the pressure goes up too,
Yes.
and you're like, oh wow, if I fuck this up, right, then that's going to affect 20 people, 30, 50, whatever. It's like, but if I do this right, that's also going to help those amounts of people as well. And it's quite a bit of a brain fuck. I've noticed when you like, oh, I'm actually coaching one person, but I'm not. I'm coaching 50 through one person.
And I think that's been a really big mindset shift of, I guess, like the responsibility that goes with that. And I think,
Yeah, totally.
when you first start as like a coach, for example, say like at a gym or whatever, or anywhere where you're kind of lower in the ranks, if we say that, and you look at these people who are either like running the business or whatever, you're like, what the hell do they do? Like, all they do is run around having coffee all day, right? And I used to look at this back when I was a consultant and look at the partners and be like, they don't even really do much. Like, it's so easy. Yet, like, the buck stops with you. Like, you own that. You have the responsibility. Ultimately, it's, it's our company. If any of those clients have a problem, they come to me. Like they go through the coach and then they come to me. Damn. So like the responsibility is quite big. Like the work is less, like you say, the face-to-face time is less, but the thinking time is more. And
Oh yeah.
That's a big
Yeah,
shift.
the planning and the team management and also the soft skills gets really important when the higher you get up. If you start pissing people off, it's gonna affect the whole chain rather than just a one-on-one scenario.
Yeah, your word means so much more because it's filtering through to more people, and it's that whole, I guess, leading by example. And anything you say and do, you might just, you take it as nothing, but someone will be listening to that and going, oh, but like Jane said this, and so I think it's like you really do have to live and breathe, your values, because otherwise it will kind of come back to you, and someone will hold you to account for that, and it doesn't look good or sound good.
Yeah, for sure. It's a weird thing, right? When you kind of, I don't want to say step on the pedestal, but are higher up the chain, because like, if anything goes right in the business, it's the employee's fault, right? You're like, oh, it's them. They get all the praise. You stoke them up. You push their fire, right? Because at the end of the day, without them, there's no business. Same with the gym, right? This is where I see a lot of people fuck up. Granted, I don't have a gym. I've never owned a gym. People can kind of throw that card at me, and I've got to take that hit. But at the same time, if you don't look after your coaches, they don't look after the members. You have no members. You have no gym. It's really, really simple. You just look after the coaches and they do the work, right?
Exactly.
Like that's all it is.
And that's something that Alan and I, like my business partner, we talked about very early on, that like we want to look after these girls so much that they never want to leave, right? Like, pay them well above whatever market rates are, like support them in whatever way they need, like whatever it is, because we're like, we literally couldn't do this without you. And I think many, like you say, many business owners, many gym owners maybe don't see the cost of attrition as high as it is, because if someone leaves, like, sorry, but like we are, so like we're like, what do you need? How can we better support you? And like that goes beyond just them as an employee. It's kind of them as their whole life. As a person, what do they need? How are they engaged? How are they motivated? What are their goals? Like, why are they doing this? You essentially do end up coaching them as an individual as well as all of their clients. So the difference.
Fuck yeah. Plus, you get to know the human, right? You want to help the person rather than just like the title, right, or the role. It's like, no, there's a person filling that role. Get to know that person. They're going to feel fulfilled. They're going to feel like they have the purpose. They're striving towards something. They're growing. They're looked after, right? It's a friendship circle. It's a family. It's a connection. And like you said, they're going to want to stay. And if they leave, great. You're also going to have a phenomenal network wherever they go, wherever you go.
Yeah. And that's one of the things as well, that we want this to be a platform for our coaches. So, provide them with whatever income clients that they want. But if they're like, hey, I've got this really good idea, or they're really interested in a certain topic and they want to run like a group program in that, or do something and use our social networks to promote that and, get all the money from that, whatever, that's totally there for them. And so it allows them to sort of be like a mini business owner in themselves and have that creative aspect without like the fear of like, oh my God, I have to start a business and how do I even, we're like, okay, we can help you with that. So it's quite cool in that sense as well. Very rewarding, but we're probably not at that stage yet, but that's coming in the future.
So here's a question. What does leadership mean to you?
Such a good question. It's a funny one. I never think of myself as a leader. Yeah. And I've had these conversations recently with my business partner, and it's like, how, for example, say you see this in clients a lot. You see a client who has got their mindset on a certain thing and they can't be told otherwise, right? So how do you try to change their way of thinking? And I'm sort of like, you can't. I don't think you can't. I think you just have to live through your values. And I think it does come to that sort of thing of like, how do you live your life? How do you show up? The words you use, the way you portray yourself, every interaction you are in is an opportunity to lead. But I say lead with, like inverted commas, because I think it is just how you show up and being authentic, whatever that, I know that's like a buzzword in social media, but, just sharing everything. And I think if you do share everything, people feel like, okay, wow, you literally say whatever. So they feel like they can share anything, like no dumb questions, all that sort of stuff. I'm like, oh, mate, I'm so not organized. Like, I just say it as it is. And I think it allows like our coaches and our clients to really be like, oh, that's not embarrassing. Like Jane shares dumb stories all the time. So yeah, being real and just showing that it's a struggle as well, like that no one's perfect and that kind of thing.
Yeah, being real is a really important one, I think. You unconsciously give other people permission, right? Because if you just rock around like just doing your thing, like other people are like, oh, if they're able to do their thing and they don't really give a fuck and they're just themselves, it's like, okay, great, yeah, fine. I'm okay to be myself, like I don't have to fit in a box or play up to some standard that may never suit me. I don't have to be someone for people to like me. I am already who I am, and that's fine.
Yeah, I think there's a big one. Also one, and this is an interesting one, but having really clear boundaries. I think as you get not higher, but as you kind of have more people who want your time, right? Showing where those boundaries are. And I think that can be really powerful in leadership. People think that, to be a good leader, maybe you need to be accessible all the time. But I think that actually makes you less of a leader. It's like, hey, when I'm with you, like totally 100% here for you, whatever. But here are the confines of how that works. And then people know how to interact with you. And they can't be, I don't know, there's no like misinformation on like, oh, but you said all the time. And it's like, no one is available all the time. So I think, boundaries are really key, and having that expectation setting up front, both with staff, coaches, but also clients. I think that goes both ways. I mean, it helps both parties, I think.
That's a really good point and something that I wouldn't have thought about. If you set out that, not expectation, but you set out that boundary, right? Then you are showing that you respect it for yourself. So people can, one, respect that for you, and two, be like, okay, then I'm going to do that to respect for myself, right? If they're pouring into their cup so they can pour back into mine, okay, great. I'm going to pour into mine so I can pour into other people's. Yeah, that's definitely a place where I've tripped up on for many, many years. Of just been like, I'm just going to work 24/7 and just fucking do my thing, And that's when we, going back to an earlier point, that's when we need those people around us to be like, Alex, what are you doing, mate? Like, come on. Like, you've not slept in like 3 days, lad. You've eaten like one meal today and you're going to try and train for the second time. Like, what are you doing, mate?
And I think, like going back to what it means to lead well and stuff, but with boundaries, I think like that's something we do talk to our coaches about. I'm like, you always come first, okay? Like, you have to come first. If you're going to be a coach, if you're going to work with people, you can't do that if you're like not filling your own cup, if you want to put it in that language. Like, your clients will wait, and just you let them know, hey, I'm just going to do some stuff for myself, then I'll like get back to you, whatever. But you have to look after yourself, otherwise you just eventually you're going to burn out. And look, we see that so much in so many clients, and it is one of the kind of number one things that we instill in our program is you come first in any situation. And we have lots of mums who we work with, because like women, like obviously a lot of them are mums, and they're always like, oh, but my kids come first. And I'm like, I get that you love your kids, and that's awesome, but you still have to come first, because ultimately, like, if you can't look after yourself, you're not going to be able to look after your kids, and that goes for, any area or anyone in your life. And I think the more people can kind of actually not feel bad about that, like there seems to be this kind of guilt or selfishness like associated with like, no, I'm going to look after me so that I can put the best one of me out into the world. And that's, a hard shift, I think, for many people to make.
Yeah, I find this a really interesting topic with in the terms of like being a parent, right? Because I don't have a kid, but at the same time, like everyone's got their opinion on things, right? And I've coached a lot of kids from all different backgrounds, and the best ones that have the best head on their shoulders is usually the parents that have done less tactile parenting and more leading. It's all example based. Of like, oh, I see me mum getting up in the morning and going for a run, or I see me dad not picking up the work phone after 4 p.m, or they always come to my games on the weekend, or I see them out the back throwing a rock above their head because they couldn't get to the gym that day and they just got a little bit of fitness in, or like I see them cooking and steaming broccoli or something, cooking their own meals rather than smashing a pizza the third time that week. And honestly, those kids, they learn so much more from the environment and just being inquisitive rather than being just forced down this path, which is why I've got a little bit of a qualm with the whole education system, because it's like, stick between these two lines and go forwards. I was like, well, kids go sideways. They run in circles. They go bounce from wall to wall. Let them, exactly. They learn so much more. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point around like kids observe so much. Like it's not like you have to be present with them, showing them things. They just observe from what we do. And, some women will be like, oh, I feel bad going to the gym or whatever it is that they're doing to look after themselves. It's like, no, but your kid's going to see you being like, oh, it's important to stay fit and healthy. Like, mum goes and does her thing and she's really strong and she like works up, like going after goals or whatever it is. And then they're going to be like, I want to work hard and set goals, and, they're like so observant. So I think,
and just bring your kid.
Look after us.
Just bring him in the gym.
Exactly.
Put him in the corner. Even if they got a book or a ball. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, like the ones before, like Nate's at our gym, they get to run around for a little bit before class and they play on the rings, get to all the stuff, and they're like, this is so cool. And then they go and they watch people doing these amazing things, and they're probably going to be like, when I grow up, I want to do that. And that's super cool. I don't think it's bad at all. Like the kids that are there at the gym are loving it. Plus they get to hang out with their friends and they're in a good environment. There's music, they dance. Like there's no bad there. I don't see any bad. Don't have a kid, so can't say that,
Yeah.
One day my kids will be so it's fine.
For sure. 100% they got to be in that environment. And like I used to love it. There's a gym back home, and if someone brought in their kids, we had a little sofa area where they could chill out during the class. But if they brought in their kids, I'm a big kid anyway, so I'm usually just like chucking a ball around with them, playing some sort of game, never letting them win, of course. You just like beating them at every single game. You got to prove a point, and then you can jump in the warm up if you want, which is usually either a game based thing or just barely moving around, getting a sweat on, de-stressing, talking shit. And then if they're real young, they go sit on the sofa and they watch. And then occasionally you get the 14-year-old, the 12-year-old or whatever, and it's like, do you want to do the workout?
Yeah.
I was like, hey, here's a PVC pipe. You're going to do this with a PVC pipe today, but you're actually going to work out with Bob over there, who is actually a phenomenal athlete and can clean and jerk like 160. But you're also going to do it with him, and you're going to be in a team or something. And, you know, just follow him around. He's going to be a good example. And people need role models. And especially, I'm getting fired up now. Especially like young, I'm ready to like run through a wall.
It's so cool because I think like there's a couple of like kids at the gym and they've come in and they've trained, you know, with us, and one of the girls, like she's been with us since she was like 8 and now she's like 12 and she's doing like the teen CrossFit, and it's so cool. And, you know, we were talking earlier about environment, and I think, you know, set them up in an environment where health and fitness is easy. Where like you don't have to drag them off their devices or whatever. It's right there and they just naturally start doing it. And then, you know, we're going to have less issues later as they get into whatever school and stuff, and they're doing something really happy for themselves and productive for their mental health and physical health, and they meet friends and have goals, and everyone should go. I mean, obviously we're biased, but, you know.
Yeah.
So many positives.
But I mean, if you own a functional facility, right, or a CrossFit gym or something similar, it's the same sort of premise, and you don't either outsource or do teens classes or kids classes yourself, go fuck yourself. Right? Like, honestly, I think it's paramount for everything. You know, if you don't do it, you're shooting yourself in the foot and telling you to run a marathon. You're just allowing people to go down a wrong path and then to help them further down the line. It's like preventative measures is always better than reactive.
Yes.
Let's go with that, right? And sometimes, honestly, the social benefit and the mental benefit from being in the environment, never mind actually conducting the fitness, they outweigh the fitness benefits. Yes. And it was like, this kid might not have a role model. You know, his mom might be a junkie, his dad might have left, right? Her dad, his dad, whatever. I was like, they just need someone to look up to and just talk to and be around, you know, and just bring them in the gym, open that environment. And you got to be really, really conscious of the environment that you create, and that's usually why you meet family members that you've never even met before when you have a good gym, right? You're like, oh my God, the vibe in this place is popping. I love everybody unconditionally. Let's do some fitness.
Yeah, and I think like environment is so key, and so many people kind of forget about that. And if we talk about like our clients and we talk about willpower, for example, it's like you look at healthy, fit people, and it's not that they have more willpower or discipline or motivation. They just put themselves in environments where they don't have to use as much willpower, motivation, and discipline. You know, you look at like the corporate client who, you know, every day has to say no or try and resist morning teas, lunches, after work drinks, versus like, I don't know, someone who doesn't even have to say no to those things. So it's actually quite easy. So when they choose to eat a piece of chocolate, they're like, oh, yeah, this is nice. Rather than like, oh, I shouldn't drink tonight. Oh, I've got to be good. And that's where like the crazy relationships come with food and stuff like that. Like, set yourself up an environment where it makes it easy. Like, we have quite a few clients, and, you know, they'll say to us, my whole family's big. Every time we go to, you know, family, whatever, I have to justify why I eat the way I eat and why I can't just have whatever they're having. I'm not saying you should have to say no at family meals, but, you know, if you're constantly in this environment that's just, you know, healthy food, and you're the only one who's like, can we have some vegetables? You know, like, it is going to be more taxing and more tiring. And so that's where like prevention and, you know, systematic change of trying to get into better environments in general is going to be way easier than trying to help one person way down the track. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, it's definitely
can't change the world. Try.
Well, how do you change the world though? You change yourself, right?
We're getting there.
There you go. Like, just one person. No, whether it's yourself or one person. Well, that would be one person, but you know what I mean. And you know, that's really difficult. I can empathize with people that the family is quite stuck in their ways and they don't want to change it. And I'm like, okay, sometimes you have to, I don't want to say completely disconnect from your family. No, I'm not telling you to do that, but sometimes you got to take a step away and be like, okay, listen, like, this is important to me and I'm going to go do my thing, like, we're going to have to spend less time together because this is bad for me right now. And most of the time, those people are going to respect that. They might not in the short term, but in the long term, they're like, holy fuck, that's really cool. Maybe we start doing that. It is, really is.
It's really hard, yeah. And like a lot of people.
Have you ever had it?
What's that?
Have you ever had it from like mates or close people around you or family that have just been like, nah, Jane, you shouldn't do this, or you should just stay in the corporate environment, you should stay doing this?
Nah, and I think like,
wow,
honestly,
nice.
I am so privileged in that respect, and I'm very grateful for my family, and I don't think I'd be where I am in so many aspects of my life because no one ever said that I couldn't do something. And you know, when you look back at like how we're shaped as, you know, like a child or whatever, and I think that has so much to do with how people think about themselves, where I think, thanks, mum and dad. Like, they were always very supportive, and I had some crazy ideas, and I was not a great kid all the time. Like, there was one time I remember I failed an entire semester of university, okay?
Amazing.
And I like went to uni all the time. It's not like I didn't go or anything. And I don't know what mum said, but she was just supportive and you'll find a way. And there was no like backlash or whatever. And I guess it worked out all right. But like, yeah, I think that can shape you a lot. So yeah, seeing clients who are in that space, it's really hard. I'll give an example of clients that I see in the corporate world, and we'll change everything that we can kind of lifestyle wise, but it keeps coming back to like your job, your stress, the lack of sleep you're getting, and constant stress. So it's like, at what point do you decide your health is worth more to you than your job? And that's a really hard decision.
Yeah, it is, and it's a decision that you can't make, right? Like, as outsiders, you and I talking to these individuals, we can't make that decision for them, right? Because when you're in it, you can't see the wood for the trees. And I've had conversations with people like this a lot, and it's like, okay, man, at the end of the day, like, whatever's right for you is right. If you're going to ask my opinion, I'll tell you. If you don't ask for my opinion, I'm not going to tell you. But at the same time, I'm not going to stick around and watch you kill yourself.
Yeah. And
if you keep digging that hole,
I think it's nice for people to have that outside perspective that can say, hey, you know, whatever, like, have you thought about the fact that your job is where you are, or whatever it is? And sometimes people almost need permission, like externally, to be able to have that conversation, even though they know deep down, but like for someone else to say, and they're like, oh, wow. You know, and that can help trigger like many things. So whether it is environment or whatever, you know, having someone say like, you should go and have this conversation with your family, with your manager, with your partner, whatever it is. Otherwise, you're going to stay where you are. And then people are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a really difficult one, right? Because you find employers start taking the piss. They're like, okay, your pay's not going to change, but I'm also going to give you more workload. And it's like, okay, fine. And then 2 weeks down the line, 2 months down the line, okay, your pay is not going to change, but now we're going to double your workload.
And I feel like
they keep pushing it.
And they say it with like, oh, we're going to give you more responsibility. Like, it's this exciting thing that you're like, really like, thank you so much that I got all this more stuff. Like, yay, I want to kill myself. No, okay.
Yeah. But it can get bad.
But I think that actually comes down to confidence and boundaries, like confidence in yourself to stand up and be like, actually, no, that's not okay. I back myself to say, either pay me more or I'm not going to do that, or I don't need that external validation of a new role or title or responsibility. And then just having those boundaries, like, cool, so I can't get my work done in that time. How are we going to talk about that? Rather than just being like the super high achiever that just takes on yes until you burn out and die. Which I see
Yeah, we're not here to work at the end of the day. You know, what happens if you do more work in a corporate scene? It's like you're coming home with the same thing. Your family are negatively affected, right? But in terms of finances and all that, there's no positive for you It just means someone somewhere gets to sit on Barbados Beach a little bit longer and drink margaritas.
And
it was
that
like,
is exactly
what
it.
happens?
I was going to say, I'm getting fired up now because this is everything that's wrong with the world. Like, it is though. Like, we've got it backwards. For some reason, we all feel like we need to work so hard and show, I don't know, whatever, like, that we've got this great job and whatever. Yet, like, we're forgetting the things that are actually fun. Like, and people just get up and they go to work all day at a job that, okay, they maybe like, but, like, if you had to choose to do that all day, would that be the thing you choose to do? Wouldn't you rather just, like, have yarns with people or just, like, have coffee and stuff? I mean, you need money, but there are ways around that. But I think people think too, like, I get a job, I do this, tick, I've nailed life. And I don't know, there's more to life, I think.
Yeah, and like then people start like kind of averting to drink, drugs, partying, and other vices, right? And then it just starts spiraling all the way down, and that's a bad place to be.
I was actually having a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who's a gym owner, and she's house sitting at the moment, right? She was like, I'm house sitting, you know, it's this beautiful house, like so much stuff, like all these nice things. You know, they both earn really well. They've got one kid, they're overseas on an amazing holiday, and she's on antidepressants. And it's like, we have all these things, but do they necessarily make us happy? And, you know, if we strip back all the noise, you know, what are those core things that make you happy? And you know, a lot of what we do with our clients is like actually going, what are you doing to fill your cup up? You're doing so much to give to others, whether that's through your job, your family, you know, whatever. But what are the things that you need to be happy? Like, you know, if we talk about mental health, it all stems from there. So are you seeing sunshine in your day? Like, are you drinking water? Are you eating nutritious food? Not because you want to change your body, because it actually makes you feel good. Are you getting movement in outside of the 8 hours that you sit at a fucking computer screen? And not because you feel like you have to exercise to lose weight, or, you know, because it feels good. And like, when did you last play? Like, have fun. Not because you planned a weekend away and it was, you know, planned. Like, did you just run around with a ball and, like, you know, or like go in the ocean and do things that genuinely make you happy, rather than just like buying a new dress that you don't even like how it feels? And I don't know, I just feel like people put that emphasis on the wrong things, and that's why we see so much of this kind of, you know, issues with mental health, because people aren't genuinely happy.
Well, people go for short-term satisfaction rather than fulfillment. Right? They're like, you know, if you go out to the beach and you have a barbecue or something, you chuck around the ball, and for the rest of the week, you're gonna feel a bit fulfilled. You're like, I got a little bit of water in my cup now. Or you can go out and buy a dress or a new pair of shoes or something, or whatever the fuck you spend your money on, and you're like, great, this is fantastic. I pretty much guarantee you wake up the next day, you look at it, you're gonna look at it different. You might still be like, oh yeah, I've got this thing, but once you've worn them once and you put them back, it starts wearing off. Stuff is not fulfilling. Experiences is.
Exactly. And so, like, one of the big things that we kind of focus on in our program is, like, what are those small daily habits, like, at a minimum, that make you feel good, okay, outside of your job and the success and the, you know, like the tick box things, whether it's like, I want to lift a certain weight, I want to weigh a certain amount, I want to look a certain way, because those are just like outcomes. But what happens when you get them? Like, you're still the same person, you still feel the same about yourself. So what are the things that actually make you feel good on a daily basis, irrespective of external kind of factors? And I think once people can start to make that shift, which is really hard, and I've definitely been in the space of, like, you know, wanting to tick all these things, but I can tell you, once you do that, you're still the same person and you still feel the same. So until you change that kind of internal viewpoint of yourself, and nothing changes. But that's hard. It is a hard shift for a lot of people to make.
Yeah, it is, because we're taught to strive for something, right? And I think everyone should strive for something. I need something to chase. The only difference with me is I don't need to know what it is. I just need to be chasing something. Right. And, but once you start loving what you're doing, you know, I mean, even this, for example, right? Like, if people say, oh, what'd you do? It was, a few things, whatever. Oh, you talk shit on this. I was like, yeah, okay, we talk shit. I was like, oh, and they look it up. They're like, how many have you done? I was like, well, I don't know, a few. Like, but I enjoy doing it. Like, I enjoy talking to people and listening to what they got to say of all these different things. And I've learned so much from everybody, right? And you've got to, if you enjoy it, like, you're going to look around, you're like, holy shit, I've come so far. But if every day is a grind, 24 hours takes forever.
Exactly. I think, you know, it's that whole finding the joy in the journey rather than the destination. Like, obviously that's super cheesy, but I think, and especially to liken it to what we see with the clients, you know, they're so focused on this outcome and they feel like when they get there, everything will be great. And often they don't even enjoy the process to get there. And so it's trying to shift that and, yeah, really find, I guess, the joy in, like, the boring, dumb things. And it's interesting that you say you need something to strive for, but you don't know what it is. And this is something I've been kind of pondering and battling with lately. Is like, I've always been really goal focused. You know, we're taught to have goals. It's great to have goals. You have a plan and you get these goals. But, like, maybe you can just do the things that you enjoy and see what the goal ends up being, which is, like, so backwards from what we're told.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I find more joy in that. You know, I think it dilutes a lot of anxiety of, like, oh, I'm not really making any progress towards a specific goal or event or date or something. Or I'm like, I'm just going to do my shit. Like, I'm just going to do my thing. And wherever it takes me, it takes me. You know, if it takes you from that physical location somewhere else, great. If it, you know, ends up blowing up, fantastic. Right? If it doesn't, great. You're going to just keep doing the thing that you want to do.
And, like, yeah, that removing the pressure, you know, when people put, like, time frames or whatever on things and then they feel stressed about the fact they haven't done it yet. And so if you know you're going to do it anyway, does it matter when it happens or what it looks like? And maybe, like you say, if you enjoy that journey, the destination might kind of change, and that's okay too. And, yeah, like, with our clients, we see this a lot. And I'll tell you what we see the most. We get clients who come to us going, I want to lose weight and change my body. And we're like, okay, cool. But actually, through the process of doing that, they actually just wanted to be happy. And they thought the answer wasn't changing their body, but actually it was just finding stuff in their life that they actually liked doing. And then possibly as a result, their external body changed because they were happy, not because they changed their body and then got happy. And I think that's the big shift of, like, get happy and your body will be where it wants to be versus, like, change your body and you'll get happy.
100%. 100%. You know, like, I mean, it's the age-old thing, right? A six-pack's not going to make you happy. Oh, fuck it, whatever. Yeah, it's overrated anyway.
It's the same person.
Yeah. Do your thing, whatever.
You have to make so many sacrifices, and I think that's something as well that, like, people think they want this goal, but they don't necessarily want to do the things to get there. And, you know, you probably see this all the time. I see it in the gym. I see it with nutrition clients. Whatever, you know, maybe it's a skill in the gym that they think they want to learn. I'm like, cool, that's easy. Like, you can definitely do that if you want to. Like, here's the things you need to do. They're like, and then, like, you know, 2 weeks into the program, they're like, like, maybe you actually don't want that thing. And that's okay. But, like, stop saying you want it if you don't want to do the things to get there. And that's a really powerful conversation to have with people, with clients, of, like, cool, okay, you can totally achieve this. What this means is, nutrition stuff, it might be like, probably going to have to just limit social things. You know, you are going to have to track all your food. You're going to have to reduce your stress, get a whole lot of sleep. You know, you probably can't eat out a whole lot for the next 3 months. Like, are those the things you're okay to do? You're like, oh, but I've got lots of things on. And you're like, okay, maybe we just need to adjust what that goal looks like, which is okay too. But you get to choose. But here's the trade-off. And once people realize that, they're like, oh, like, is it worth it? I don't know. You get to choose.
Yeah, and it's people fall into that instant gratification sort of trap, right? And it's like, I got to say, and I'll say it to a lot of people when I coach, of, like, you got to earn the right. You know, like, and I'll say it definitely when I coach weightlifting. I was like, oh, I want a snatch or a clean and jerk or something. I'm like, fantastic, brilliant. And they go over and get a bar. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I'm getting a bar. I was like, no, you got to earn the right to touch that bar. And you also got to earn a right to put another kilo on the bar, right? If it's not pretty, we used to have a rule, like if you ever did an EMOM or like a bunch of volume, right? With a snatch, if you had to move your feet, if you caught it and you had to step forward or back, it's a no rep. Even if you stand it up, it's a no rep. I was like, no, you got to earn the right. You got to make it look pretty. It's got to feel good. You got to do a good rep to earn the right to increase the weight. I was like, you got to put in the time and energy, and people don't want to get into that graft. You got to learn to enjoy the suffering and the monotonous, you know, kind of day in, day out grind.
And same with our clients. Like we always say, you have to earn the right to be in a deficit. And most clients are like, no, I can do it. And I'm like, you haven't been consistent with your food for like, you can't even do it for a week. Yeah. How are you going to be consistent with less food? Like you can't even eat the same, lots of food or whatever it is, like sleep or stress. And it's like, hey, let's get all these things reined in, and trying to point that out to them. And they're like, no, I just want to lose weight. It's like, you haven't earned that right, and your body won't. And then you just get frustrated and, you know, not be where you want to be. And I think, teaching them what are the trade-offs, and do you actually want this, and learn to love the journey is key. Yeah,
agreed. So I got a question. Obviously, you had the 3 questions last time, so I got another question. What is something that people how did I've gone blank? How do I word this again? Oh, what is something that you don't care about that other people do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Shit. I think what people think of me. I think a lot of people care what people think of them. I don't care. I just do my life. And I'm like, you think what you think. Like I see a lot of people wasting energy on what other people think. I hear it from clients, I hear it from friends, and I'm like, who are they to you? Like, why does it matter? We're all unique individuals. We don't have to have the same opinions on everything. And that's okay. And that's how we learn and take, you know, what we like from that and what we like from that, and just live our life. I think, I just live my life. I just don't really care what people think.
Fuck yeah. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Just do your thing.
That's a hard question. Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Oh, can I ask you what's something? Yeah, what's something that you don't care about that most people do?
I'm very similar. Like, I'm gonna do my thing anyway. Like, if you don't like me or whatever, fantastic. You know, other people's opinions of me is not mine to bear. Like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm gonna do my thing anyway. But I would go a little further to say, for a long time I really cared about being understood, because everywhere I go I feel like an alien, because I've literally just I've left my home for like 8 years now, and I've just bounced around from gym to gym, to place, to city to city, now countries and hemispheres, and just kind of getting everywhere. And I've always felt like the fucking odd one out. So for a long time I was like, why can't you just understand? Like, I've literally just mapped it out. All you got to do is go from A to B, you know, just follow the yellow brick road, you know. But now I'm like, you know what? If people don't understand where I come from, fuck them. I don't care. Like, I'm going to do my thing anyway. I know my heart's on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I think they're not your people if they don't get it, and it doesn't matter. And you don't have to invest energy into them. Yeah,
exactly. And I know it happens a lot. You know, being northern, like, you can come across a little bit harsh. You say things how they are. A spade is a spade, and we curse like a sailor, you know what I mean? And well, fuck them. You know, you don't like it, great, fantastic. Like, I'm not your cup of tea. I'm somebody else's whiskey, so piss off.
I think,
you know,
I can definitely rub people the wrong way, but the people who respect me really do, and I'm fine with that. Like,
yeah.
Whatever, love me or hate me, it is what it is.
Marmite, mate. Marmite. Mate, I appreciate it. I gotta go get some dinner, but
Yeah, cool.
I appreciate that so much.
Cool, thanks. Good to chat.
Strong Woman Project, check them out.
Yeah, on all social platforms you'll find it.
On all social platforms, because they're everywhere and onto it.
Everywhere.
All right.
Cool, thanks, man.
Thanks, boss.